One of the best executed ambushes in medieval European history occurred at the Battle of Albulena. Albania's mountains tremor in 1457. 40,000 Ottoman warriors proudly advance into the dense fog of Albulena, certain that no army on earth can defeat them. However, 8,000 silent eyes follow their every step deep within the forest, calm, motionless, awaiting the precise time of attack. Then, all of a sudden, the ground erupts. Rocks fall down the slopes, trees break, and screams mix with combat drums. The mountain awakens and roars like a stone and fire monster. Men and horses dive into secret pits. From the ridges, waves of stones and arrows pour. Everything in its path is destroyed as an iron storm rushes through the valley. Albina was the ideal ambush, strong enough to stop an empire's expansion and permanently alter Europe's destiny. We are encircled from the flanks. A small country in a forgotten part of the Balkan Peninsula is still fighting just to survive, while the kings of Europe vie for thrones and crowns. This is Albania, a country of stone, forests, and mountains, where every community has already seen the flames of battle. The Ottoman Empire's might has been pushing Christendom back for years. The Sultan's green banners spread like a never-ending wave from Constantinople to Bosnia. Constantinople, the center of the Byzantine Empire, is taken by Mehmet II, the young monarch dubbed the Conqueror in 1453. While all of Europe trembles, there is yet a territory north of the ruined metropolis that won't submit. The Albania of Gjergj Kastrioti Skanderbeg, a rebel who was once an Ottoman general. Skanderbeg used to be one of their own. He was kidnapped as a child and transported to the Sultan's court in Adana. He picked up discipline, the art of fighting, and the Turkish language there. He was known as Iskender by the Ottomans. His name, Lord Alexander, alludes to Alexander the Great. Under the Crescent, he commanded troops until the day when, disgusted by bloodshed and servitude, he deserted, returned to Albania, seized the citadel of Kruja, and swore to fight only under the Black Eagle of his people. He never stopped resisting after that day. 20 years of battles, faith, and betrayal, but the country is worn down. Harvests are lost. Allies drift away, and the enemy grows stronger.
Then, in 1455, at the fortress of Berat, disaster strikes. Skanderbeg is tricked into falling into a trap by Pasha Ferruh's Ottoman soldiers. He goes too far because he is overconfident. His army is encircled and destroyed in a single day. The surviving escape into the mountains. As optimism wanes, people in the Balkan taverns murmur, Skanderbeg is finished. However, enemy blades do not cause the deepest wound. It is derived from his own family's blood. His nephew, Hamza Kastrioti, whom he reared like a son, betrays him. Hamza, who is young, intelligent, and full of ambition, pays attention to Sultan Mehmed II's envoys, who are skilled at luring ambitious people. Hamza pledges allegiance to the Crescent in return for golden titles. He is given a mission by the Sultan. Go back to Albania, bring me your uncle's head, and put out the flame of rebellion. The 1457 campaign began with these remarks. Orders are given, generals are called, and maps are unfolded at the Palace of Topkapi. Forges flare, and hammers sing through the night from Macedonia to Ohrid. Arrows are tallied, horses are saddled, and cannons are oiled. For what the Sultan refers to as the ultimate hunt, everything needs to be prepared. It's not about punishment this time. It has to do with erasing. To use a single stroke to permanently destroy Albanian resistance. Quick, ruthless, and unchangeable. Rumors circulated throughout the Balkans. According to reports, Hamza Kastrioti will lead 40,000 soldiers on a march north. This is not an army. It serves as a warning and a warning to anyone who dares to criticize the empire. The sound of drums blends with the grinding of wood and iron on covered roads. As far as the eye can see, columns extend. Janissaries, artillery, cavalry, and supply carts. Officers chuckle confidently around their campfires. They see this campaign as merely a formality. The last spear was thrown at a dying creature. The Sultan, meantime, is standing on Topkapi's balcony in his marble palace staring out into the horizon. The Albanian mountains disappear into the mist in the distance. His quiet, low voice is like a verdict. The Adriatic will be mine when the last eagle perishes. Thus, the battle drums clang in the midst of spring. The army gathers, the crescent's banners rise beneath the gloomy sky. The plains people's prayers are muffled by the sound of hooves.
And a chilly wind rises someplace in the north. The wind of battle. Albania appears to have slept out following the loss at Berat. The bells of the church are no longer ringing. The fields are deserted. The roads are empty. Skanderbeg dwells in silence in the highlands of Mat, behind the walls of a secret stronghold. He was once referred to as the Balkan Lion. He is now just a tired man sitting in front of the fire, staring into the flames. However, he ponders, observes, and waits during that quiet. The catastrophe occurred 2 years ago. The villages gradually emerge from the rubble. There are few harvests. Naples and Venice alliances have broken down. Albania is on its own. Then a rumor travels across the mountains one morning. A fresh campaign is being planned by Sultan Mehmed II. According to reports, Gjergj Kastrioti, the nephew of the hero, the one who betrayed his own blood, is leading a march of 40,000 men from Macedonia. Skanderbeg remains silent as the news reaches the Karuga fortification. He realizes that war has returned as he gently steps out onto the balcony and observes the clouds building over the peaks. He won't flee from it, though, this time. He calls for his captains. He only promises them dignity, not triumph. They're all aware how small their force is. Just 8,000 men, half of whom are shepherds and farmers. However, they are also aware that people who appreciate these mountains have always been protected by them. He rides across the lowlands for days. He is familiar with every stream, every pass, and every stone. He discovers a small, confined area covered in trees between two forested ridges. Albulena is a deep ravine that prevents armies from extending their lines. The ideal location for capturing a stronger force. He chooses to attack there. Orders are mailed all at once. From village to village, messengers gallop. In each valley, the bells sound 3 times, the call to arms. In the jungle, farmers conceal their families. Every man who is capable of lifting a spear ascends the heights. Blacksmiths reopen the forges. Monks sanctify the weapons and carry relics. The mountain itself comes to life. The preparations start. Paths are rigged with branch-covered pits. On the slopes, tree trunks are prepared for rolling. In the woods, archers select the best view positions. From Ohrid, scouts keep an eye on the highways. Nobody talks loudly. To prevent them from neighing, even the horses are kept in the dark. Caves are used to conceal supplies. Women make thick wine, salt, and hard bread. Each village contributes what it can: iron, leather, courage, and arrows. The wind from the mountains carries the scent of steel and fire in the rainy evenings. The soldiers offer silent prayers. Old swords are sharpened by the elderly. Skanderbeg remains vigilant. His eyes are clear despite the wear on his armor. "Stay hidden," is all he says as he moves among his guys and puts a hand on their shoulders. The time will arrive. Days go by, heavy, milky, and seemingly alive. The fog descends. Only a few steps ahead are visible to the millennia. A rumbling starts to rise in the distance from the valley below. The earth quivers. It sounds like an army marching, the army of the Sultan. The ground is pounded by thousands of hooves. Through the dust, green banners emerge. Like a monstrous heartbeat, drums reverberate slowly and deeply. And at the front, Gjergj Kastrioti rides forward on a black horse while staring toward the mountains of his early years. He is unaware that a trap has already been placed behind those trees. About 8,000 warriors wait like the mountain itself above him, concealed in the shade of the pines. The wind ceases. The aircraft becomes frozen. Dense, almost hallowed silence reappears. Skanderbeg shuts his eyes in the quiet. He is aware that the hour is almost here.
The sun rises over Albania's northern mountains early on September 2, 1457. Mist still envelops the valley of Albulena. The only things visible are the river, a few rocks, and the shadowy shapes of the pine trees. A rumbling rises like distant thunder in the distance. It is the army of the Sultan. It has traversed Macedonia and the Balkan passes for 3 weeks. There are reportedly close to 40,000 men in it. Cannons, cavalry, archers, and janissaries. A massive, self-assured, unrelenting combat machine that never really stopped. Gjergj Kastrioti rides forward to the front on a black horse. The early light gleams on his armor. He gazes fearlessly at the mountains of Albania. He thinks that Skanderbeg's aim will vanish forever today. The officers laugh and converse. Some promise to deliver the rebel alive to Constantinople. Others vowed to set fire to every remaining village. They see this conflict as merely a formality.
The route is obvious as they arrive at the entrance of the Albulena Valley. Not a sound, not a fire, not a soul. The scouts come back and verify. No adversary can be seen. The neighboring villages seem deserted. There are no fields. Hamza grinned. This proves to him that Skanderbeg has run away. He gives the order for the army to move forward. First to enter the gorge are the janissaries. The Syrian archers trailed behind them, followed by the Anatolian cavalry and the gun carriages pulled by weary oxen. They are surrounded by the valley. The cliffs get closer and higher. The sound of the drums reverberates off the stone as the light fades. The soldiers first keep making jokes, but gradually they are troubled by something. No birds are audible to them anymore. The wind seemed to have stopped as well. The clatter of armor and the breathing of horses are all that's left. Hamza raises his gaze. The pines are still. The rocks appear to be waiting. Too still, too sharp. He wonders, but the column is already far down in the ravine. It would be almost hard to go back. Hours go by. The entire valley is now covered by the troops. The back cannot be seen from the front. Passing commands down the line is difficult for the officers. Everything starts at that point. Behind them, a roar erupts. The path they took became a stone and wood wall. Massive trees that fell throughout the night crashed across the walkway. Boulders accumulate in the tunnel after rolling off the mountains. The final riders are crushed. The wagons rolled over. The retreat is terminated. There's a very short pause, just long enough for their hearts to be filled with fear. Then the whole mountain starts talking. The front lines get a barrage of boulders from the upper peaks. Horses come back, men stumble. Formations break apart. A whistle cuts through the air before the dust has had time to settle. One more, then 1,000 more. Black clouds are where Albanian arrows fall. They hit hands, throats, shoulders, and helmets. The iron rain causes shields to shake. Despite huddling together, soldiers are unable to identify the source of death. Hamza yells commands. Shield to shield, he attempts to reorganize the lines in order to advance the janissaries.
However, the ravine is too small. The columns are unable to spread, rotate, or breathe. A small detachment of Albanian horsemen may be seen at the bottom of the gorge. They make a brief appearance, shoot a few arrows, and then flee in mild terror. Hamza thinks he sees a chance. He believes the adversary is retreating. He gives the command to charge. With their spears lowered and their feet heavy, the janissaries charge forward. The ground underneath them abruptly vanishes as they round a turn. Beneath their feet are deep holes that were excavated at night and covered in branches. In a flurry of blood, metal, and screaming, scores of men and horses collide with them. The survivors attempt to flee, but the column continues to advance behind them. Ranks collapse, mingle, and shatter. The Albanian horsemen reappear at that point. They don't run away this time. They cascade down the valley's hills on both sides. Shouting Skanderbeg's name, sabers rise.
It has a terrible effect. From the side, the first Ottoman ranks are destroyed. Horses topple, men fall. It's very loud. Another wave comes down the opposite slope. Slingers, infantry, and cavalry, everything that Skanderbeg has stored away. The valley turns into a fire and dust pit. They engage in arm-length combat. In the smoke, faces disappear. Men attack anything that moves. They trip over bodies, blood, and mud. Hamza makes an effort to assemble his troops. He attempts to create a route to the north by organizing the remaining Janissaries. For a split second, it looks like he could be successful. In the whirling mist, a green banner temporarily rises. However, Skanderbeg is not done from the heights. He lets loose his last reserve. More stones roaring down the slopes, more riders, more arrows. The circle becomes more constricted. Daylight wanes. The sky changes from crimson to gray. Thin, chilly rain starts to fall, blending with weapon smoke. Weary, drenched, and nearly blind, both armies fight on. Skanderbeg advances across the valley. Among his men, Hamza still engages in combat. Nobody gives up. At last, night trips over Albania, and the steel battle continues in the shadows. The conflict is still ongoing. The valley is now completely dark. Smoke, perspiration, and blood are combined with a beautiful rain that never stops raining. Between the rocks, the wind whistles. There is nothing left to see. Steel flashes in the dark. Blindly, both armies search for one another. Cries stop. Orders become hazy. In the muck, torches go out. A collective moan of agony and terror turns the conflict into a whisper. Skanderbeg is awake in the middle of the night. He advances slowly in the rain, his hand resting on the sword's hilt as his cloak adhered to his armor. His officers are waiting for a signal all around him. Only he is aware that everything will be decided by daybreak. "Not yet," he whispers. Hamza gathers what is left of his soldiers when they are worn out and think the night will keep them safe behind the Ottoman walls. He has lost half of his force. With no captain, no fire, and little hope, the others are dispersed and lost in the valley. Their faces are dripping with water. Their bones are bitten by the cold. Hamza looks out into the shadows. He senses that others are observing him, even though he cannot see anything. This land is familiar to him. Even though he knows he has misjudged the man he fights, he is unwilling to give up. He promises to get out of this trap before dawn. An unsettling quiet descends upon the valley around midnight. For a little period, even the rain stops. Then all of a sudden, the darkness is pierced by a harsh sound. 1 horn, 10, 100. The Albanians launch attacks from all directions. With torches blazing, they charge down the slopes. On moist steel, fire sparkles. The whole mountain appears to catch fire. The Ottomans cry and struggle to find their weapons, but they are rendered blind by the flames. Panic breaks out. Horses back and collide with one another. The shock causes the Janissaries' lines to break, despite their best efforts. Skanderbeg explodes into the flickering illumination. He slashes through the rain with his sword. The thunder surrounding him is drowned out by his shout. His name is yelled by Albanian bikers. Their attack is unstoppable, like lightning. Hamza makes one last attempt. He gives the command to break out in the direction of the south. His officers pursue, but the mud gets under their horses. Once more arrows fall. Tents, banners, and bodies are all consumed by flames. Then he gets it. Everything has been lost. He gives the mountain one more glance as though it were a mute god and indicates the withdrawal. But it's too late. The gorge is closed off. The trap is fully closed. The rain gets heavier. One by one, the torches die. The shouts diminish and eventually stop. The valley of Albulena is silent and shrouded in mist as morning breaks. The dead have been taken away by the night's floodwaters. Above the hills, crows are already circling. Skanderbeg gets off his horse. He strolls gently across the damp ground, surveys his surroundings, and remains silent. He has a heavy sword.
His heart is very close to him. His guys observe silently. They are aware of the price of this victory and the fact that it has preserved their country. The water on the stones shimmers as the pale light rises. The wind causes the black flag featuring the double-headed eagle to flutter. Albania is where Alina is from. The rain has stopped by the following day. There is silence in the Albulena valley. There were no drums or yells, just the sound of footsteps sinking into the mud and the wind. Above the pines, crows leisurely circle. The river is crimson. In the dawn light, abandoned helmets gleam like fragments of broken silver. Skanderbeg remains still. He looks sadly across the valley. All around him, the survivors build graves in the wet ground, gather the injured, and seal the eyes of the deceased. Nobody says anything. Silence tastes like victory. Rumor, however, spreads more quickly than the wind outside the mountains in the Balkans. In the Balkans, they talk about a miracle. 40,000 of the Sultan's warriors were destroyed by a man with 8,000 soldiers. Messengers arrive at Rome, Naples, and Venice. The bells are ringing. The priests offer prayers. His name is written by poets on pages that are still damp with tears. He is referred to across Europe as the Lion of Albania, the shield of Christendom, and the man who opposed an empire. However, the news is met with marble quiet in Constantinople. Their eyes are lowered. The Sultan remains silent. He spends a lot of time strolling by himself among the roses and floating dust in his gardens. His dominion is not destroyed by the loss, but it is damaged. And somewhere in monarch's memories, the name Albulena turns into a cautionary tale. Skanderbeg, meantime, observes the clear sky from the highlands. The smoke is carried away by the wind. The damp stones are once again exposed to sunshine. He is aware that nothing is finished. Until he runs out of breath, war will resurface repeatedly. However, the globe seemed to hold its breath alongside him for a little while. At his feet, an entire army is still. And in the quiet of a valley, Europe has just been saved, even though it is unaware of it yet.